I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. All right. Thanks for being here.
No
Thanks every
problem.
thanks everybody for being here. Let's go on and let's get it started. This is Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. We do this every single month. And so it's basically for everybody who's new. We're streaming also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So anybody that's new, we're going over the official stats that we're releasing to the media today. And it's not just the stats, you're going to get, where's the market, what's the state of the market today, and where it's going um, from here. And so before we get going, I wanted to first thank you, Larry, our 2025 Broward Miami president. Thank you for being here. How's everything going?
Everything is great. Can't complain.
Awesome. All right, Larry. So, the first question I always ask, and the best part of this is hearing, the different viewpoints of each Miami leader, and I learned a lot. But what would you say is, why is it so important for realtors to know these stats to tell Miami and Broward story and Palm Beach's story? Why is it so important to be here?
Well, it's a basic principle. If you're going to sell something, you have to be an expert in the market. And the only way to be the expert in the market is to know what's happening there. So understanding these market stats really gives you the data that you need to help sell the marketplace, right? Because South Florida is very different from everywhere else. We're not just selling a property. We're selling a property that is encompassed by a lifestyle that you live down here. So that's why I would say that this is really, really important.
Definitely. All right. So let's get moving to our next slide here. It's going to be about an hour, hopefully a little bit less, and we'll go over all the stats. Here's our agenda. We're going to go over the March 2025 stats. These are newly released, being released to the media. And when you go to our website, which I believe it's coming up here, but sfmarketintel.com, that you're not just going to get the March stats, you also get first quarter stats. We have all those reports. And like I said, we've been doing this every single month. We haven't missed a month for the last about 5 years. And we already have all the dates when we're going to release the future stats. We have it on our website, but as you can see right here, our next one's going to be May 22nd. We're going to have the YPM president, so you'll get his perspective, his boots on the ground, and you guys could plan these out for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for being with us. And so one of the questions we get all the time on these is this being recorded? Yes, it is being recorded. And can I get a copy of this presentation? Yes, you can. It is a 71-page PowerPoint, and I will email it to you. If you could just write in the chat your email. Afterwards, I'll go in, I'll tabulate all the emails, and I'll send it to you this afternoon. You'll get this thing, and you'll be able to take your time and look over it. And then this is the website. If you could only remember one website that we say today, sfmarketintel.com. This is where we're going to put all of our stats reports, all of our infographics. We have market focused videos. We have an award-winning design team, and we've been working on these graphics. So to make it easy, it's sfmarketintel.com. You will have the March reports for Miami, Broward, basically every county in South Florida. And then you will also have first quarter stats, and that covers every single city in South Florida and every single zip code. They're currently not on the website as of now, but by the end of, by 5 p.m., you'll be able to go sfmarketintel.com and you'll have all the first quarter in the March. We are working on those to post those as we speak. So that's at marketintel.com. All right, Larry, so I'm going to go over the three major counties in South Florida, and then I'll ask you a question on Broward. So here's just a little preview of the stats we're going to go over. Miami-Dade, total dollar volume is up. 600 to 1 million single-family home sales are up. Broward County, 1 million and up single-family home sales increased. Median sale price, of course, is up. Palm Beach County single-family home sales increased year over year. Condo dollar volume increased, Palm Beach County. So, Larry, Broward is your neck of the woods. The main question, it's on the top of the mind of everybody when you think about real estate now is the new safety regulations that went into place at the start of the year? How is it impacting the market? But I wanted to ask you, as we look at these new regulations, how do you view it? Do you view it as short-term pain for long-term gain? What is your whole take on these new regulations?
So that's a very interesting question, right? Because I'm going to answer it like this. It's all about perspective, right? So if you're on the person that is buying or selling a condo right now, then your perspective is going to be a little bit different than if you're analyzing just the marketplace, right? So let's kind of break this down into a little bit of a segment, right? For sellers and buyers right now, it's making it more challenging. Is it stopping the sales? No. It's just making it more challenging. When you look at it over as an overall real estate market, is it short-term pain for long-term gain? Absolutely. Because you're going to have condos that are now deeply regulated on their budgetary needs. So the tragedy that happened before will never happen again. So I hope that kind of answers your question. It's a little bit more complicated than just a yes or no.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. No, that's a great job. Yeah, it's a very difficult, and we're just getting started with, it just went into effect January, so it's too early to
Yeah,
tell.
and the one thing about especially South Florida realtors, right? When we talk about Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County realtors, they find a way. They find a way to make it work. So they are really, really stepping up to the plate to satisfy the needs of the sellers and buyers of those condos and really doing what they need to do. So that's one of the best parts about having a professional standing in your corner.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the market is so resilient. I mean, you talk about, this market's gone through hurricanes, COVID, 2008. Every time it comes back stronger. So
Absolutely.
definitely. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so this is another topic. We had thought at the end of last year that maybe rates will be coming down, but you know, I think with everything going on with the tariffs and the changes on the national level, inflation seems to be high. Mortgage rates, I looked, I mean, it's 6.98 today.
Hmm.
Larry, when you're talking with buyers, what do you talk to them? What are some of your talking points on mortgage rates?
So it's very interesting that you bring this up, right? Because mortgage rates are relative to the age group that you're really talking to, right? So if you're that younger age buyer, the 21 to 35 age buyer, you've only seen mortgage rates low, right? So it's relative to who you're talking to. If you're talking to somebody that's older that was buying properties in the 80s, they're like 6%. Great, this is wonderful. I paid 20 in 1980, right? I paid 21 in 1981. So it's all relative. You can't fault people for not knowing what they don't know, right? And when you look at the aggregate data of the time span from I think the 1970s to the 2020s, where we're at right now, mortgage rates are relatively low. They're not really high. They're kind of average right now. Um, so on average, I think you're what about 7%, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but it's all perspective of who you're talking to. So the message that you have to have to the buyers is, yes, for specifically if they're younger going into their first house, yes, you may think this is low, but if you look at it over the time of when we've been selling real estate, it's not actually low. This is actually normal. You had the opportunity to buy and take advantage at when it was at their lowest. That really honestly people will never want to hear this, but it probably will never go to that rate again in my lifetime. So if you got to take advantage of it, great. If you didn't, it's just going back to normal.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. I don't think it's ever going back to 2.65 in 2020. That's
Look, if
unbelievable.
it does, great. I'm all for it. But the likelihood of it happening, it's only happened one time, and that was what we've just seen. It's never happened before, and it probably
Yeah.
will never happen again. Not in our lifetime.
Yeah. And then you also have to, keep watching, the Fed and what the chairman talks about, that he's looking about keeping the rates steady for a while now. So that's going to impact it.
Yeah, but people look at that like it's bad versus good, right? It's and in my perspective, it's neither, right? When you look at the markets overall, you have to look at mortgage rates in in a totality, right? So mortgage rates drop, what happens to prices? More buyers creates more demand, prices go up, right? Rate stays steady, you have a little bit more flexibility. And it goes back to the old question, what's more important, how much you pay for something or what your payment is? And that's what people forget sometimes. It's not always how much your payment is, it's how much you pay for it. Because when mortgage rates or if mortgage rates do drop to, let's say, for the argument of this conversation, into the fives, you could always refinance the 6.98 that it was today into the fives, and now you're saving money. The one thing that you can change is how much you actually paid for the property.
Mm. Ah,
So,
interesting. Yeah, I like it. All right. Okay, so let's talk about Realtor.com. They put out this ranking earlier this year, Miami, and then when they mention Miami, I think it's referring to South Florida, the Miami MSA, but ranked number
right.
two for the top markets in 2025, expecting 24% growth to the housing market in 2025. And this also, Zillow came out with an April ranking, and they put Miami at number three buyer's market. So, Larry, we're seeing that, definitely it's one of the top markets still for buyers, and obviously for top markets of 2025. That says a lot.
The secret's out, my friend. I
Yes.
mean, during COVID, people really exacerbated that secret that we've been holding for so long, that South Florida is a place to live. When you think about just South Florida overall, when you tell people that you're from Florida, it's sun, fun, and business now.
Yeah.
That's really it, right? That's what your mental picture is. Beautiful beaches, blue skies. That is really what has been the driving factor of it. Why do a lot of people want to stay up in 2 feet of snow when we're summer all year round?
Yeah, I'm
And
not, I'm not going to
listen,
the snow.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the secret's out. You can have that life here.
Yeah, I love it. Secrets out, and that's a perfect segue to this page right here. Miami's market fundamentals, top population, international migration. Let's get into it. The secret is out. I mean, look at this population. This is forecasted by the Florida Office of Economic and Demographic Research. So you can see that our population it continues to rise until at least 2050.
Yeah, and
And then let
and it's been that way. People think that COVID was the beginning of the migration into Florida. It wasn't. If we go back on trending lines, migration was always happening at a very, very high pace. COVID exacerbated it, and we've seen migration that we've never seen before. But heavy migration has always been a part of South Florida.
for sure. And then international migration, that's no one could even touch
Mm-hmm.
Miami international migration. Larry, you take a look. Number one is Miami-Dade, and then number five is Broward. So you could see that, if you were to add those two together, it just blows everything out of the water in terms of
Correct.
this is the world loves Miami, and that proves it.
What's not to love?
Yes.
Listen, like I said, migration's always happened in the South Florida area, right? And now we're starting to see with industry really starting to ramp up down here. With if you go down to Brickell now looks very similar to what Manhattan looks like. And you're starting to see all those bigger companies start to come down. and really take advantage of the space that they have down here. So obviously the people are going to follow where the jobs go, and the more people follow, the more jobs come down, and it's kind of like a cyclical cycle that just continues to happen. When when we look at what opportunities are here in South Florida, growing up down here, you never really thought that you would see this happening. But I remember years and years ago that people were saying that this was happening, and now you're starting to see it really come to fruition. It's amazing to see Broward County being number 5. Listen, Broward County is sandwiched between Palm Beach and Dade County, right? And what happens is when people are having a hard time finding, because there's an inventory problem that we all are facing, but when they're having a hard time and they don't want to live in the hustle and bustle of the city, where do they go? Broward County. Now they may not go out east where Fort Lauderdale and that downtown is now taking shape, but they're going to go out west where it's a little bit more suburban Miami-Dade.
Yeah, I love it. And you did a great job here talking about the companies. You had mentioned earlier, Sun Fun and Business. Look at all Citadel, their CEO, Ken Griffin, decided to leave Chicago for Miami, and he's
Yep,
building a huge, huge building in downtown.
downtown, yeah. Right there in the heart of downtown by the Kaseya Center.
Exactly. And then so here backs up what Larry was talking about, wealth migration. These are stats from our great chief economist, Gay Corortone. So if you guys aren't following her, you should. And to access her reports on our website, at the top, it's under economic insights. So make sure to look those up. And she got these numbers here from IRS migration data, and just through the roof. There's no comparison and comparing to pre-COVID. And Larry, I wanted to show you this one here. I got Broward's top feeder states because they all, everybody wants to know like where are the buyers coming from. This is based on driver license exchanges.
Right.
So of course, number one is New York. New York is number one in everything. Number two, New Jersey, coming down here to Miami, and California three. Larry, are you seeing these type of states still purchasing down here and moving here?
Absolutely. All the time. And you have to realize that um, when they're moving down here, they're getting a very different experience. I will say this, aside from California, because California is very similar to what their lifestyle is very similar to ours here, right? With the beautiful weather and the nice beaches and stuff like that, they have very similar. But the rest of the states overall, they're taking advantage of what South Florida has to offer. And look at where the cluster is for uh, Miami, Broward overall. It's really that New England area in the Northeast. You got what, number 1, number 8, number 10, number 2, number 5,
Yeah.
right there in that cluster of
Yeah.
states, right? So that makes up a really big portion of the population, which is very high in the economic side of business. So as those people start to move down, you start to see their employees move down. If you go back one slide, I love how that slide was actually put together, because if you see Miami-Dade County and Palm Beach County, what's in the middle of it? Broward County. And that's how our map looks too. So
Yeah.
all those people from those two counties also are pouring into Broward County as well.
Yes. 100%. I love it. All right. And we've been talking about wealth migration, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to put together, how could you tell the story of wealth migration? And I think this chart on the left does so. 10 million and up home sales in South Florida. In 2019, there was only 103. And then you could see how many are in 2024, an increase of 201%.
Yep.
Just really phenomenal numbers. And then the chart on the right is from the brand new Knight Frank, the Wealth Report. If you guys haven't checked that out, you should. It's free to download on Knight Frank. But Larry, take a look at where Palm Beach and Miami rank in terms of in the world. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
And it's interesting because now you have an island in Miami That's called Billionaire Island. It's a whole island down there, right? That's where Jeff Bezos bought his property and then bought the property next door, right? I think there's a, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, if you know off the top of your head, I'm probably wrong on, I think it's 20 houses on the whole island, something like
Yeah, I
that.
think you're right. Yeah, around there. Yeah.
And not to mention all the islands that surround the bridge going into South Beach. Look at all those houses. And for years, if you've been in the real estate industry for a long time, you know that those houses don't really go up for sale very often. And they're one of some of the most coveted properties. Look at Palm Beach Island. Look at the appreciation around where Mar-a-Lago is right now. You know, you have the island that's in Palm Beach that's just it's the same thing. You're starting to see that same trend, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach.
Yeah, no, I love
It's
it.
amazing to see how this wealth migration is really shifting through not just the country but in our state as well.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times. I think we're in the right place at the right time with the right market.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let's have a little fun and let's test everybody here on the Zoom call, also on social media. Thank you guys for making your time today. So this is our 2024 Miami Global Report and some trivial questions. If you guys could write your answers in the chat, we'll see who gets it right first. What is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Take a guess on that one. Number two, how many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida? And number three, what percentage of global real estate sales are made in South Florida? These are great points to use in your marketing. Because let me tell you, nobody matches Miami with these numbers. So let's see who gets it correct. And also let me remind everybody, if you'd like to have this presentation, write your email in the chat and I will send you this presentation after. All right, median sale price. Let's take a look at, these are the new numbers, but before we get there, these are some graphics to remind you that Miami is historically one of the leaders in price appreciation. And you can see how our equity gains dominate on the national level. But let's take a look at the numbers. These are brand new numbers that we're releasing to the media. Single family home sales increased 3% year over year in March. Condos are down. This is for the first time in a while there for condos.
Yeah,
And
but
then,
but but take a look at this, Chris, right? And I don't want to gloss over this because the media puts a spin on things and says that there's a problem with condos and all this, but the data does not show that. If you really look at what this trend line is showing right through the middle of that, where we're at right now, condos and townhouses down 1.7%. 1%. That's a hiccup in the market. If you look at the markets overall, think about this. The stock market took a bigger hit than condos did, right?
yeah, yeah.
So year over year, we look at where the stock market was this time last year to this to now, and then we look at where condos and townhouses were to now. We're only talking about 1.7%, whereas single family homes appreciated 3%. So is that really a problem? No. Why? Because the South Florida realtors, the professionals that do their job every single day, they're the ones that have found a way. They're the ones that didn't let the media panic them into seeing what they wanted them to see. They really were the ones telling the story.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love how you stopped me there. And yeah, context is so important. Single family, to give you context, single family median prices have increased for 13 consecutive years. Condos, I was looking for my news release here, but it's something like 68 of the last 72 months or something like that, condos have increased. So yeah, no, that's beautiful context there. And then let me get to, here's some more context here. If you're looking in the last 10 years, 120% increase in Miami condo price appreciation. And then also on the right, I put a graphic here on, I know there's talk about special assessments, and the county has a program to help with special assessments.
And this is such a huge win for Miami-Dade County on this. Um, and it was a lot of effort and a lot of time that not only our association but the legislation working together has had to pass this really makes a difference in what we're doing and what we're seeing, because Miami really does lead in uh, the number of condos that they have, and having this condo special assessment program really does help the process of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and our great advocacy team is working on getting it for Broward, getting it for the rest of the state. That's what we're
Absolutely. That's a huge undertaking, just like they did in Miami-Dade County. You know, we're partnering with all the right peoples to make sure that this does happen in Broward County as well, and we'll get the benefits for that as well.
yeah. And so let's take a look at Broward median sale prices, single family are up. So condos following the same trend lines. It's interesting how Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. I've been doing this for a while, and I could see the same trend line. And you can see here's Palm Beach median sale prices. But again, like how Larry said, let's put it in context. Let's look at it going back to 1995. I love this graphic here. It really tells a story about, as you can see, the 2008. Um, economic collapse there
Mm-hmm.
in 2008, and how it declined, and take a look how condos have appreciated 284% since 2011. Um, really amazing. And actually we have Broward.
284%.
Yes, 284%. I mean that you're not going to read that in the media, but those are the facts there. And then we have Broward. Take a look at Broward, Larry, single family up since 2008, 128% for single family, and condos was 107%.
Yeah.
Um,
Listen, and the reason why people won't say this, and this is why being an expert in the marketplace is so important. With our leading question, right, that we started with, if we look at how people are telling you that they're perceiving the condo market down here, it is not what these numbers are saying. And that's where we as professionals have to come in and say, listen, according to this, and this, right? According to Chris's market stats update that they give you every single month, condo appreciation from the time you bought it to now is this, right?
yeah,
That's where we're showing that you are the professional and you are the expert really comes into play.
that's great. Answering some questions in the chat. Thank you. The website is sfmarketintel.com. SF Market Intel, for South Florida, sfmarketintel.com. That's where we're putting all these reports. And I will, if you write down your email, I'll send you this presentation. Answered another question. I'm trying to look, but thank you guys for the questions. We will continue. So that was Broward. Here's a look at Palm Beach. Um, Incredible price appreciation. I don't think there's another market that has this type of appreciation and what it's done to our equity. But look, I'm gonna go back and here's Miami, here's Broward, here's Palm Beach, similar trends. Um, and okay, so let's talk about inventory. Larry, you talked about that, how inventory is still not there, and this backs up exactly what you said. We're still missing it in key aspects, especially 1 million and below. We need more inventory there, but it's getting better, but it's not where we need it.
Yeah, so overall, and I'm not going to put this on the media, right? But overall, when we look at things, we tend to look at it from year to year and not from a segmented time frame. It's from last year to this year, where do we see? And we saw that really uh we saw it like really exacerbated when we started seeing during the time of COVID, when people were like, there are zero foreclosures, and now there's 200. But there wasn't, the headline didn't say that there was 200 foreclosures. The headline says that there's 200% increase in the foreclosure. Well, yes, if you go from zero to any number, it's a huge increase, right? Or 2,000%. Like it's a headline to catch you, right? And you're like, oh my God, there's this big problem that we're having. Yeah, no, there's not, right? The problem is actually opposite of what they're saying. And where we're at right now on an average market, you're looking at about 18 to 19,000 homes that are usually listed for sale. Our current inventory is 15,000 or just over 15,000 or just under 16,000, right? You're still 2,000 homes short. That means if no other properties came on the market, guess what? We're going to sell out in not an average time frame. So I think it's very important. And then they try to people try to do things that skews the data. And I love hearing other podcasts and other things that people say online all the time. And for years, I've heard people say, um, the market's going to crash. Well, yeah, if you've been saying it for 10 years and you're continuing to say it, you've been wrong all those years. But guess what? The one time it does, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you keep saying it every day, it's going to eventually happen. And you will be right one time. But it goes to show you that even a broken clock is right twice a day. So,
That's true. Yes. And just beware of those clickbait headlines. But here, getting to this next slide here, Larry, you talk about the wealthy moving here. Why do they come here? Well, it's a bang for their buck because Miami, you get so much more in Miami versus Paris, versus LA, versus New York. Uh, all these cities. This is from the new Knight Frank wealth report. How much you could purchase in prime property.
yeah, yeah. Listen, it's like I said, why settle when you don't have to anymore? With adding in remote work, stuff like that, why settle if you don't have to? Especially if your company is now moving to South Florida, move with them. A lot of companies are doing relocation.
Right. All right, Larry, so you kind of touched on this here. There's always a question that we get, prices continue to increase. Um, and people say, you just mentioned it. Is this going to be another 2008? And there's so many reasons that it's not. I mean, I would imagine number one is there's so much equity. People have so much equity. They're sitting on so much equity. But what would you say why this is not a 2008 or it's not even close?
Okay, so let's pull out the equity conversation, right? Because that kind of deads the whole conversation, right? When you say that, right?
Yeah.
So let's pull that part out. Because if we go back to those other slides that showed the appreciation standpoint, that kind of just nulls that argument altogether, right? So let's forget that for a second. What you outlined here, in 2008, we had excessive borrowing that came from using loan initiatives that weren't designed for the people that were using it, right? They were designed for the solo business owners, stuff like that, with stated documents and stated income that could actually afford to pay for something. Now, with the stricter loan requirements from Dodd-Frank that you had in 2010, that reinvented what mortgage loan officers could do and what was required, it changed really the game of what was being done.
Yeah.
Before you had no docs, no stated, right? All stated. You actually have to provide documentation now, right? There's not really exotic loan programs like how you have outlined here. We're gonna skip the positive equity and cash flow on it, and then on top of all that, when you segregate just South Florida from the rest of the country, you'll start to see that the migration that's coming here, people are selling from other parts of the country and bringing a lot of cash and wealth into the state, which is now changing that as well. Um, when you look at when people had the opportunity to refinance, a lot of people took advantage of that, which now puts them in a position where they're paying less than what they initially bought their house. So those sub 5 mortgages, sub 4 mortgages really do make a difference. Then if you add back in on top of all of that, the equity buildup from just the beginning of COVID to now, why would you get foreclosed on? Just sell your property and you can walk away with the cash. So when people are saying that, oh, we're going to have a market crash like that, yeah, I don't really see that happening. And if you look at the payment history of people through uh, consumer affairs, if you look at it, yeah, they may miss one or two payments, but by the third payment, they're already caught up. So that's a little bit of a tidbit to show you that you can't go by how many missed payments you can't, because now by the third payment, they're already caught up. Why? Because they're tapping into the equity that's in their house. So it's and I said this in the beginning of COVID, right? People have been saying since COVID started that the market was going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. Okay. Back then, I went online and I said, what happens if that doesn't happen? Because people used to say the same thing about San Francisco. Every year, San Francisco, before HP moved into San Francisco, people used to go there and say, the market's going to crash. They can't sustain this. And that's how Silicon Valley was created, right? HP moved in. And then after HP moved in, all the other chip companies and computer and IT companies moved in after that, which started this Silicon Valley. South Florida is going through uh, I don't want to say a revitalization, but a rebirth of the business and economic standing in the country. It's a shift, right? With South Florida now leading the way. What happens if South Florida becomes, in real estate, the new San Francisco? What happens then? All the people that have been waiting on the sidelines 5 years from now is going to say, man, I should have bought a house 5 years ago. Just like right now, man, I should have bought a house 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, you were saying, man, I should have bought a house 5 years ago. Right? It's
Yeah.
it's a continuous cycle. So to answer the real question you were asking, do I think something like that is going to happen? Absolutely not. I don't. I think it's actually going to go the other way, and prices are still going to continue to appreciate because we just don't have the inventory for the amount of people that are moving down here. That's one. And on another note, I don't want people to start looking at things from the standpoint of, man, in 5 years, they're going to be like, man, I should have bought a house 5 years ago, like they did 5 years ago. So,
Yeah, no, that's great. But what do they say? The best time to buy is now
best time to buy a house is honestly when you can afford it.
when you can afford it.
If
Yeah.
you can afford to buy a property now, do it. If the rates get better, refinance it. But if you're really looking for the best price house, because if rates drop, it's like I said to you earlier, you're going to have a situation where prices are going to go up because more people are going to be able to afford it because the cost of borrowing that money is now cheaper.
Yes. 100%. All right, so let's take a look at closed sales. Again, how we talked about earlier, context is key. You're going to see similar numbers across the three counties. But what's good on the chart on the right that you'll see, it goes back to March 2023, and you could compare it to all of those. But it's all the factors that we've been talking about: the mortgage rates, the inventory. Here's a look at Broward. Here's a look at Palm Beach. Um, all right, Larry, let's talk about how we could help the realtors on the call, help them, make more deals. And this is something that was brought up by Miami leader Natasha Tello. Are you guys using Market Watch on Matrix? It's the best way to look at what's happening in the last 7 days. Larry, when you're doing part of your work, did you use this Market Watch, and how could realtors leverage this?
Oh, it's super easy, right? And I'm going to use your graphic just to kind of point out a couple of things. Um, if you look at back on the market, right? There's 112 properties that are back on the market. This is the one question that I tell all realtors to ask themselves. If those properties are back on the market, that means they had to have come off the market, right? In the last 7 days, there's 112 in the example that you put up here. Why aren't those 112? Why aren't you one of those realtors that put one of those properties back on the market? For the last few years, especially the newer realtors, they've been very pampered with just a booming real estate market. While this market is still really good, you have to actually do a little bit more work. You have to put in a little bit more effort. And if we look at how many are expired on a week to week, just from this example, you have 33 that are expired, 27 that were withdrawn, um, and 63, if I can see correctly, I don't have my glasses, that were canceled. Those all happen for a reason. Now, out of whatever happened the week before, I'm going to assume that those numbers were pretty similar. If those numbers were pretty similar, then 112 of those went back on the market, right? Now, if 112 of those went back on the market, the question that you have to ask yourself is, why am I not one of those realtors that put that back on the market? The market watched, and we all know, like, I'm friends with Natasha, and she's very, very savvy when it comes to this real estate market. If she's telling you that we need to pay attention to market watch that's on Matrix, then that is something that I would suggest that you do. And the reason is because you have a key to a door that is not utilized as much as everybody thinks it is. Start calling those people. Say, look, I saw that your property came off the market. Was there a reason for it to come off? Did you change your mind? Are you still looking to sell it? Get with your broker, your trainers. Miami has amazing trainers that will help you with scripts and stuff like that. So listen, get with the people that you need to, and then you'll be able to actually utilize this information to build another segment of your business.
I love it. I think that those are great tips right there that, um, it's all about the work. I think maybe in the in those great times of 2020, 21, when the market was on fire, things were easy, right? For realtors now, you have really, have to work on the craft and look for ways to find buyers, and that's an excellent tip. Excellent. All right, so what are some other tools these are free that I mentioned, they are free for Miami members. So let's go over each of these. Make sure you guys are using these because they are included with your membership and they will help you make more deals. IMAP, which is a great way to do complete property building searches, sales history. I've heard from a lot of realtors that maybe this is the best products, service we have, IMAP. Larry, how often do you use it? How can they
Oh,
leverage
daily,
daily?
daily, daily. We use IMAP all the time.
Yeah, so much information here. So make sure you use it. It's free. What's another free is RPR. You could get these neighborhood reports. This is just an example that you could pull. Again,
Let me just jump in here especially with the RPR neighborhood reports. If you're farming a certain area, the RPR neighborhood report really gives you a good indication of what your neighborhoods are doing. And you can't always get all the data in one place like that. And you can see just off the example that you gave here, it gives you the the median estimated home value, all of that stuff for a specific area. So it's tailored to whatever your farm area is. So you really should look into using that and seeing how you can utilize these tools. Because like you said, Chris, they're free. Utilize the tools to get the data you want to solidify yourself as that expert in there. And I'll be honest with you, I would take this RPR report. If I was a newer realtor, I would take the RPR report, get in front of a camera, and just record myself reading that off.
there you go. It's easy. Yeah.
And if you
That's
want a
it.
broader view, Chris puts out some great data for the cities overall that you could just do the same thing. The data is always there for you. What we have to do is be a little bit more creative in how we're utilizing the data.
Right. And you're talking about another free service, SunStats, which I love. A lot of the charts that I have in this presentation come from SunStats. It is free for Miami members. You have the website there, and you could create these infographics, these charts, and you could add your picture, your information, your company logo. Very easy to use if you're not using it. SunStats, another free one.
Listen, that's probably one of my favorite uh, tools for, as weird as that sounds, because as you know, I'm more of a data analytics type of person. So for this speaks my language. And the one of the best parts about it is one, you can brand it to yourself, and two, it gives you the infographics that you can just post.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm writing. There's a great question here by looking in the chat by Marie C. Is there a way to list reports that I can see monthly median prices by city zip code? Yes. We have every single city report, every single zip code in South Florida. It is on sfmarketintel.com. There's a lot of, maybe there's some members that still don't know, but we have every single city. You will find that on sfmarketintel.com. We are posting the reports as we speak. But yes, we have those, and of course, yeah, hyperlocal. Um, Larry, let me take this question here from Vani. This is an interesting question. Where to find the homeowner's contact number for expired listings? Could
You
IMAP?
you want me to? Oh, absolutely. So there's a couple of the free tools that we have in Miami Realtors, and I believe it's through IMAP. Sometimes
IMAP.
it'll give you the information at the bottom of that. I would start there. Listen, for me, especially if you're a new realtor or you're trying to solidify your place in there, cost control is one of the most important things, right? Um, and Miami offers us so much that you have the opportunity to have some of these contact information be given to you. Now, if you're running, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 a day on them, then I would say look into getting a secondary service for for getting sellers information. You can look up skip trace service, stuff like that, and they'll be able to provide that as well for you.
All right, yes, excellent. Thank you, Larry, for answering that. Okay, dollar volume. Let's take a look at dollar volume stats. This always boggles my mind when I get to this one. 2.1 billion spent in Miami, 1.3 billion in Broward, 1.8 billion in Palm Beach. Larry, this doesn't even include new construction because new construction is not in the MLS. This is amazing for just 1 month. There's so much money that we live in a great industry, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, in the industry of real estate is relative to the market that you're in, right? And we are all very lucky to live in one of the best markets in the country.
Yes, definitely. Amazing dollar volume. Months of supply, this is an important metric, especially now. Miami Realtors, we've always done a balanced market is 6 to 9 months. That's, great for buyers, great for sellers. Less than 6 is a seller's market. More than 9 is a buyer's market. As you will see, especially on the condo side, we're on the buyers. But that varies. We're just looking at the macro level, but if you look at micro, like Marie was saying, and that's how realtors really, you make your money by knowing the hyper local. You have to
Mhm.
do this on your neighborhood. You have to do this on your block, right? And this is a way to do the calculation on months of supply. And you'll get this when I will email you the PowerPoint.
And what's funny is if you segregate the data, right, you'll find that the condo market under 50 years and over 50 years that they're different. The supply line, time of sale, all of that stuff. And then when you go to single family homes, that's also different as well. So especially if you use like a 30-year on a single family home, it's a little bit different. And
Yeah,
then you start to segregate the data based on who has a newer roof or who has an older roof, and it all shows you different things. It
that,
really does matter how you separate the data.
that is 100% right. And so here's a look in at on the macro level. Overall, it's 9.8 months. Single families in a balanced market, condos in a buyer's market. It's interesting how this has changed. I remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we were doing this, we were in the sellers market for condos, and it has shifted to buyers. And similar trend lines. Here's Broward,
Hmm.
buyer's market for condos, sellers market for single family. Here's Palm Beach data. And then here's another way you could do it also by looking at as our chief economist, she likes to call it price buckets, gay Crower tone. Price buckets, you could do it by price bucket. And here's a months of supply. And 1 million or more, we used to call that luxury. It's no longer the case, but 1 million, those properties take a little bit longer to sell. So those numbers, that it's about right, Larry. The 12 months, it's those properties take longer to sell, right?
Right. But because your pool of buyers is smaller,
There you go.
right? So yeah, if you look at where we're at here, month supply, go to your 3 to 600,000. That inventory is way less. Why?
That
Because your pool of buyers is bigger. So it really is how you look at the data.
all about the data. Yes. All right. So now let's take a look at hot markets. So these hot markets, these are in terms of months of supply, the lowest months of supply. This is Miami. Cutler Bay ranks number one. Single family condos, Kendall is number one, 6.3. So essentially a balanced market there, and then even buyer's market for seller's market for Cutler Bay. Larry, I want to ask you a question here on Broward.
Yeah,
Sunrise checks in. Look at how low that is. Only
3 months.
3 months on the single family side for Sunrise. Weston is number one on the condominiums. Any of these cities that you'd like to talk about, Larry?
So listen, there I would like to talk about all of them. Shoot, look, Lauderhill is really taking uh, a real high point of this. Why? Because of affordability. If we start to look at pricing within these cities, they're more affordable, and as they're more affordable, they have more people pouring into them because the affordability, right? Um, we we're not seeing that, like you said earlier, right? Those places that have those $1 million properties, they're taking a little bit longer. Why? Because the amount of people that are trying to buy them are less. So yeah, you have to look at it from a standpoint about that. The one that really surprised me over everything else was the condominiums in Davie.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you why. Because a few years ago, I saw all those condos going up. I'm like, man, that's a lot of condos. But like we said, if we separate the data, those things are going and they're going quick. So
Interesting,
they're
Davy.
newer.
Oh, they have a lot of new condos. Okay. Wow.
And,
Okay.
and a lot of it is right by the schools. So it's a little bit of a cheat there, too. Nova's right there.
That's true. Yeah, and then that reminds me here. I'm thinking of Coral Gables. There's a lot of high-rise condominiums that have gone up close to Coral Gables High School. So
Hmm.
same thing down here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's Broward. And again, we have these hot market, these graphics on sfmarketintel.com. Our team is putting that up there as we speak. Here's Palm Beach, Jupiter, tops number one is single family and number one in condos. Um, just interesting data there for Palm Beach. All right, active inventory. This is a number we've been watching through the years, and it is, continues to rise, which is good for our market, but we still need more inventory. So Miami-Dade is up. Actually, all three, all three are up, and these are similar numbers around the 40% range. I've been seeing the last, I want to say like 5 months. So this is a continuance of inventory. Again, good news, but we need more, especially in those key price points, right, Larry?
Yeah. So think about this. And people, I don't want you to get scared when you see numbers like this. 40% inventory is up, right? That's for when we couldn't keep a house on the market for more than 3 days. You know, as a real estate professional, you have to look at things in two different ways. One, as a professional for your business, and when you're getting 30 offers on one property and it's been up for, 7 minutes and people are just putting in offers, offers, offers. as a business owner, yeah, you love that, right? But the ability to keep inventory and market and service your clients, that's the worst thing that can happen for you. This is a more balanced market where you can now have a meeting of the minds between the buyer and seller and really negotiate prices. One is not dictating over the other.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then what I wanted to say is, it's important when you look at these to put it again, to put it in context. I have it in our news release that we're putting out to the media today. At least for Miami inventory is 18% below pre-pandemic March 2019. So yes, there's 18,000 active inventory in Miami-Dade, but that's down almost 20% from March 2019, pre-COVID. So again, put it in perspective.
Right, it is. We tend to look at things in this bubble, right? Of when something happened and what we're going through today versus what we went through last year. And real estate is not in that bubble because you don't buy it from year to year. You buy it on a long-term basis. So you have to look at it from a long-term basis. Like you said, from 2019 or 2011 to now, just almost 300% appreciation. But people won't look at it like that. They'll look at from last year to this year, I could have done this, right? But you can't. It's a long-term investment.
Long term, exactly. Um, Larry, I'm gonna check in on the chat. There's a question here from Giancarlo Lobo Jones. Thank you, Giancarlo. What is the best way to chunk down these last slides in the condo market based on age of buildings or proximity to water? Um, how would you answer that?
To chunk down the last slides.
Yeah, like
Okay, so this is what I would do. This is where I would start it. Okay. And it's gonna sound super crazy, but I would go back to the MLS. And what I would do is I would select that area that you're looking for, and now I would do it based on water frontage. Once you have that data, then you can export it into Excel and you can actually average out the data and you can find the same market stat for it.
very good. No, that's great. Yeah, go back to MLS. Yeah, there's a lot of stats that you can get manually from the MLS. That's great. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Giancarlo. Yeah, so this was the stat I was talking about. Miami condo active listings are still down. Trying to summarize the points. Forecasted to rise, according to Realtor.com. In South Florida prices, single family prices at least are going up.
Yeah.
And all right, oh, go ahead.
It's funny because I've been saying this a lot today, and you listen to the media, you think the sky is falling, but then you start looking at how, if it's such a bad thing, how do we have appreciation in the market? Like it doesn't make sense. That's all I'm saying.
That's a good point. But all right, so let's take a look at our global study. Let's see who got the answers correct. The first question was, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Larry, you know this one? What is
Argentina.
There you go. You got it. Argentina, number one. It's the Messi effect. And just
That's it. I love that.
it's the Messi effect. And by the way, did you see he purchased 4 more homes? The other that was in the headlines. He purchased four
Listen,
more. Yeah.
I've been saying it for years, right? Real estate doesn't make everybody rich, but real estate keeps everybody rich.
Yeah.
Remember that.
That's good. I like it. All right, so Argentina's number one. Colombia, which is always number one in our searches, is number two. Canada's number three. All right, the next question is, well, actually, did anybody let me check in the chat to see if anybody guessed Argentina? Let me see. I don't know if there were any guesses.
They didn't answer it in the chat. Not that one.
I'm looking. Yeah, no.
Oh man, that was the one you said you were going to give out a $300 bill with.
Yeah, so I guess we got to give it to you because you got it right. Yeah, unfortunately, nobody did. Okay. All right. So the next question is, how many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida?
I don't even know
49.
how many countries there are. A lot. Let's just say a lot.
Yeah. So it's 49 countries. This is in our last global study, which you could read. I'll put it in the chat. Our global study is at miamirealtors.com/global. You get the global study and you will read that there's 49 countries that are purchasing here. Next question, which did Larry, this is one of the favorite slides from our CEO, Teresa. She loves this slide. What percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida?
What
Again,
percentage?
percentage is
Ooh,
49%. Nearly half happen in South Florida. And what we love about this is and you would think Orlando would be higher.
yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, well, Orlando's Disney, and
Yeah. But Miami blows it, South Florida blows them out of the water. It's just really amazing how we dominate the global market.
mm, that's very interesting. So you know
Yes.
what that tells me? That you need to find a way to capture the international buyer.
Yes. Yes. And how and Fernando, I love Fernando RNCB Jr., who was our chairman. He had a great quote. He was saying that real estate is a contact sport. It's all about contacts, right? It's
Yeah.
building those contacts and referrals, right, Larry? That's how you get the global buyer and all buyers, right?
Yeah. Listen, and I agree with Fernando, right? You have to have the context to do it. And if you don't have the context, you need to put yourself in a position to get the context. That's kind of what we were talking about. That's what Natasha was saying. That's what I was saying. That's what Fernando was saying. It's all about building that pipeline of business that continuously feeds you.
Yes. All right. So we're getting here down to the end. Tools and resources, trying to recap. Um, this is again, we talked about it. I hope everybody here on the chat is using SunStats. It is free for Miami members. I hope, well, maybe you're not aware that we have co-branding marketing material, top 20 reasons to buy in Broward County, 20 reasons to buy in Miami. We have these all available for you on /co-brand. You could put your company logo on these, ready to go, help your marketing. It's free.
And if you're a newer agent, these tools are invaluable to you because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So these tools can really help when you're putting together your listing presentation package, your buyer package, all of that stuff. Or like I said, worst case scenario, just print them out, read it in front of a camera, and put it out on your social media.
Yes. I love this comment here by Giancarlo. Thank you, Giancarlo. He says in the chat, your network is your net worth.
That's absolutely true.
Beautiful. Love it, Giancarlo. All right. Miami Photify. This is free. Larry, did we mention that it was free? It is a free app that's available on your phone. You get these templates. The design department, it's like having a USB to the design department. You get their graphics, and then you could put your picture and your information, your company logo, and share it within minutes. If you're not using it, you should be. Miami Photify.
It looks just like that.
Oh, there you go. Yes, thank you, Larry. On the spot. That's awesome. Beautiful. All right. And so this is what I was talking about, the reports that we're going to have on sfmarketintel.com. We have, of course, the county reports, but I think it was Marie in the chat. She wants the city and the zip code reports. We have that here too on sfmarketintel.com by 5 p.m. It will be on the website. And actually, when I send the presentation to everybody that put their email, I'm going to put the direct links to the city reports to make it easy. Market focus videos. These are our infographics. Oh, here it is. Zip code and city reports. Hyper local data, quarter reports. Yeah, this is what you will be getting. I'll send you the direct link to make it easy. You'll have all those zip code reports. RPR, Larry talked about this, did a great job on how you can leverage this for your business. And if you have any questions on Photify, on Matrix, Larry was telling about how you could leverage Matrix in the MLS. These are the people that could help you. They put on classes every single day. The best way, if you have any question, for example, on Photify, send an email to trainers@miamiread.com. They'll get back to you and help you. They do a phenomenal job. All right, Larry, let me get to actually, we're almost at the end here. Broward County. So this is cross-market demand. This is what markets are looking at Broward County listings. This is put by Realtor.com. No surprise, New York is number one. But Larry, look in this. If you're a realtor and you get this data, like how could you leverage this to get more business?
How can you leverage the cross market?
Yeah, like if you see like, New York is
All right, I'm going to
buying
give you the
here.
tip. Ready,
Yeah.
guys? I'm going to give you the number one tip that you're going to use. Okay. We have Intramatrix on our MLS, right? And it doesn't just work for Intramatrix. You can go to anywhere that you find listings, right? New York County, New York. Type that in, and all the listings will come up. Correct, Chris? Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. All the listings will come up, right?
Yeah.
Sort by agent name, and it will block all the agents together, right? That have the same name, right? Click on one, it gives you their phone number. Call them, say, hey, you're a top real estate agent in your marketplace. I'm a top real estate agent in my marketplace. How can we work together? Can you do it that way?
Wow, I love it. Larry, I've been, asking this question to every single leader that's come on, and you're the first one to use Intro Matrix. I think that's so smart. That's
We have
awesome.
the tools.
Yes,
It's how you utilize them.
I love it. Intro Matrix.
Go to Intramatrix, type in wherever it is, the location that you want, find the agents that have the most listings, and be like, look, when your sellers sell their property, if they're planning to move to South Florida, let's work together. Here's my resume. Have a conversation. Go through it with them. If they like your network is your net worth.
Yes,
There you go.
that's beautiful. Awesome. Here's Palm Beach County. I know we went a little bit over. We're in overtime here. So here's my email, chris@memory.com. Larry, phenomenal job. Thank you for going a little bit extra. I know we're a little over 3, but very fun webinar. Any final words to the realtors out there, that members?
So all of our membership, the only thing I will tell you is if you're at an event, if you're at some place, you see the Miami leadership there, any of your governors, any of your presidents, go up to them, introduce yourself, because remember, we're a family, we're a network. We want to help each other. Take a picture with them, use Photify, put it out. And if you don't know how to use it, ask that leader how to use it. And then I guarantee you they will help you set it up for you, right? We have so many tools and so many opportunities for us to work together. Let's start taking advantage of it. Utilize the tools to the best of your ability. Being a new agent or a seasoned agent, there's always room to get better. We just need to work together to get better together.
Awesome. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Larry, for volunteering your time, to be a leader, and you're doing a phenomenal job. And I think we helped a lot of you helped a lot of people here on the Zoom, and thanks so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody. Thank you.